This is Orzhov Auras in the hands of Arne, so the same, or at least a similar deck to the one that we just saw from Austin. Grzegorz is on, well, he's on Jund Food as well, so the same matchup basically that we saw with slightly different builds from these players. But yeah, as I mentioned, coming in, Arne, up a game.
Yeah, up a game. And, you know, not too surprising once we get to the later rounds and we see two of the most represented decks kind of battling it out for some of these top positions. I mean, taking a look at what Grzegorz is working with, no interaction, it looks like, right?
Not seeing any.
I see some cats.
I don't see a turn 3 Corvold either, Paul.
I don't see a turn 3 Corvold here. So, I mean, this feels to me like this was possibly a mulligan here from Kowalski. And meanwhile, you look at Arne's hand, and, I mean, it's just kind of got it all here.
That's right. You see a slightly different build here from Arne from the one that we just saw from Austin, but pretty similar, and certainly the game plan's the same idea. But this is Hateful Eidolon with SRAM in hand here as well, and let's see what Arne wants to do.
Yeah, the consideration here is just deciding whether or not you want to play the SRAM out here.
That's right.
Or play it next turn so that you could at least cycle through one card, even if your opponent does have something like a Fatal Push or a Noxious Grasp.
It also puts you to some interesting decisions, because if you're not going to play your SRAM, how many of your enchantments would you like to play? Because they get a lot worse after if you have to play them before SRAM hits the battlefield. So it looks like we're going to take kind of the middle ground here. Sentinel's Eyes on the Hateful Eidolon. One thing to keep in mind as well is the Hateful Eidolon's triggered ability that can also reload your hand and give you a little bit of protection if you do decide to drop a whole bunch of auras on one of on any of your creatures, but particularly in this case on the Eidolon.
Yeah, and I think this is more Arne setting up for something later down the line, because currently as it stands, with the Cat Oven combo in play, not even going to be able to gain any life here off the life link from the Hateful Eidolon.
That is what you want to see, though. Core Spirit Dancer. Wouldn't be surprised if Arne decided to lead with that one. Look, the big difference between the two, right? One's a 2/2, one's an 0/2, but that doesn't end up being such a huge deal. The Spirit Dancer just gets massive because of the extra bump that it gets for each of the auras that are put on it. And it can get explosive, right? It's the type of card that you can go from having like a 4-powered Spirit Dancer, and your opponent goes, okay, well, you've got 5 lands, I'll probably be fine, and you can attack them for 18 or whatever.
And I love this attack here first from Arne. This allows him to play around Fatal Push. So what you do is you attack, and since Grzegorz doesn't have anything, you force him to return the cat here, pay the 1 mana to find something off the Trail of Crumbs. But if you do that, now you know the coast is clear, that your opponent can't Fatal Push you, and you can go Core Spirit Dancer into Kaya's Ghost Form this turn.
So...
Oh, wow.
Did Grzegorz decide not to pay to keep the bluff alive?
I love this too.
This is freaking awesome.
He's keeping up the Fatal Push mana here. He's like, hey, man. The thing is, with Arne's hand, like, he's going to play one of these creatures anyways because now he has the redundant copy. But I think this is a really heads-up maneuver from Kowalski's side as well.
And now we're going to see him run out SRAM because he's thinking, well, I'd rather have that one die since there's definitely a Fatal Push in hand for the opponent. Wow, this is next level play from both of our players. This is awesome.
And check it out. Arne did not go with the Ghost Form. Nope. He is respecting the potential, the possibility that Kowalski might have Fatal Push in his hand. So some high-level magic here from both sides.
Love it. And by the way, this worked out really well for Kowalski. You know, he gave up something there by not paying for that Trail of Crumbs trigger, but he also got something for it. As Huschenbeth said, okay, that's enough for me to believe you here, and I'm not going to push my luck and just start running stuff out into a potential Fatal Push. Ooh, revealed cards, Mayhem Devil. That's what you want to see.
Wow, and what a huge sequence of cards here. We got Mayhem Devil and Noxious Grasp as the 2 cards that Kowalski found this turn. Now, he won't have the mana here to have both up, but, I mean, if he does just go ahead and play out the Mayhem Devil, he can get this SRAM off the battlefield. And it must be so scary here if you're on Kowalski's side. You're like, well, you know what? Like, I just need to untap here. Then I feel like I'll be a lot safer. But this is the big turn because you can at least kill one creature here with the Mayhem Devil. But then, all the other things start going through your head. You start thinking, okay, well, what if they have another creature? What's the worst that can happen to follow that turn? I wonder if Kowalski is going to continue keeping up that 1 mana. No, not this time.
Okay, well, he's going to claim back SRAM here and then go for punishment on the Mayhem Devil. Get a card back, finds a cartouche. And keep trying to attack. This hasn't worked yet, and it probably won't for a while.
Yeah, but, Kowalski did main phase activate the Witch's Oven here. So now, at the very least, Arne is going to get that life back. Mm-hmm. Which is really relevant here. When you have this combo of Devil, Cauldron Familiar, Witch's Oven, which I'm sure every aggro player is we're very familiar playing against. Every single point of life that you can get back is huge because this combination can kill people very quickly.
All right, there's big boy Korvold Fakehurst King hitting the battlefield. The key card in our opening match here in round 14. Let's see if it can do the job here. It's clearly a problem. Closes out the game so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Arne, it would really be nice if you can find another Heliod's punishment. The really nice thing about the punishment, too, is that it actually just removes any text abilities that are on a card. So this Mayhem Devil just doesn't do anything for at least 4 turns here, while Kowalski slowly whittles away the counters that are on the card.
Yeah, it gets one ability. Carry that rock up the hill. That's all it can do, just 4 times. But, the idea, of course, being that from Arne's perspective, he's thinking, well, I'll just end the game before then. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, he's well on his way.
He actually is.
He's drawing 2 cards a turn. I mean, there might be a Korvold on Kowalski's side, but Arne's keeping up in terms of cards, right? I mean, sure, Kowalski has Cat plus the Oven that allows him to draw 2 cards a turn here. But, I mean, Arne's cast 2 auras this turn, which has drawn him 4 cards, and he's about to play his 3rd.
Little Korvold? Little Corvi? Not quite good enough? Is that where we're headed here? Is it just going to get outclassed?
Well, Kowalski does have a Noxious Grasp here, which will mean that the Core Spirit Dancer will come back onto the battlefield, but all the auras will fall off. So, Kowalski is going to be looking to try to close out this game as quickly as he can, as Arne just kind of has his card advantage engine going, and it's going to be really hard to kind of shut down.
Okay, Korvold's going to jump up to 6/6 as the Cauldron Familiar comes back into the battlefield. We're going to see Cauldron Familiar now jump in front of the Hateful Eidolon and then get Witch's Ovened.
Oh, man, that's a fatal push, too. Yeah. The thing is, Arne is spending all this time here to put all these auras onto a creature, but it's a huge tempo loss. Sure, you're drawing a bunch of cards, but at the same time, I mean, 1 fatal push and you have to start all over. In the meantime, there's a 7/7 flying monster just beating down at you. And the thing is, anytime there's a Korvold on the battlefield, you feel like it's probably game over. You feel like it's like, oh, I'm at 13, I'm probably safe. No, you're probably not.
I remember when Korvold first came out and Canister was playing it, and it was like, well, it's a 6/6, probably has a turn or 2, and then it was like, oh, it's attacking for 16? Like, what happened? And the game was just over.
Yeah, and that's what it feels like here. I mean, the cat oven combo will put 2 counters onto the Corvold. And also keep in mind that you can, when you return the cat, you can stack the returns. You can stack the returns in such a way where you can sack all your food. And each time a food gets sacked, the Corvold grows, right? You get an additional +1/+1 counter. So this might just mean that Corvold is lethal because 3 food tokens that get sacked, that's 3 counters on the Corvold. Cat deals an additional 1 point of damage. And then when Corvold attacks, you also get an additional +1/+1 counter there.
Yeah, the point you made a few minutes ago, though, Paul, is so astute here. The Noxious Grasp and the Fatal Push, yeah, they may be temporary answers, but that might be all that's needed. You know, you turn those into bounce spells or however you want to picture it, and it just takes a while for Arne to get... It basically takes him a full turn to get back to where he was before, and if you're taking hits from Corvold in between, well, you're dead.
Yeah.
Speaking of dead...
Yeah, Arne's really dead.
Really dead.
He's just waiting for the removal spell here.
And there it is. The concession there as Grzegorz Kowalski picks up game number 2 to force the game 3 between these two players. And just to zoom out a hair here, I mentioned it coming into the round, but these players are both 10-3, which means that a win does not lock them up for top 8, but it does mean that they get to play next round for a top 8 guaranteed win and in, which is about all you can hope for this late in the tournament. Interestingly, the player who loses this match will go to 10-4, but with a win in the final round to go back up to 11-4, they still may find themselves in a scrum that could put them into the top 8 as well. So, you know, this is not over after this round for either player, but boy, you'd rather be the one who gets to go into the last round knowing if I win, I'm in and I don't have to worry about anything else.
Absolutely. You go into the last round with 11 wins. Sure, you get to control your own destiny, right? You win, you're in. If you lose, still got a shot.
Okay, we're underway here. Quick start from our players, and we see Thoughtseize kicking off the festivities here from Arne. And he looks at Corvold, claim the first board, Gilded Goose, Mayhem Devil, and Triple Land.
Yeah, so
claim's really annoying, and he lost to Corvold. Gilded Goose is the best opener in the deck. Like, what are you supposed to take here?
well, so because Arne has 2 deadweights in hand, I imagine he's probably not taking the Gilded Goose here. And it's likely going to be the claim or the Mayhem Devil. Currently speaking, Kowalski does not have a way to sacrifice anything, so this claim to firstborn technically doesn't do anything. But you have to keep in mind that the deck does play 4 copies of Witch's Oven along with some number of Low Strider. So, you know, this game, if the game goes long enough, eventually claim to firstborn will be able to take and sacrifice one of Arne's 2 drops.
Still deciding.
It feels to me like the most threatening card could be the Mayhem Devil for the time being. But Claim to Firstborn is also very, very annoying.
Yeah, it's really, really, really rough against his deck because it hits everything. All right, it's going to be Mayhem Devil, so that's going to mean... Oh, there's a Witch's Oven now, though, for Kowalski. It looks like he's still going to kick things off with the Goose, though. That's going to carry a heavy load, shall we say. It is gold. It's very heavy.
Well, and now that you've taken the Mayhem Devil, I think Arne feels safer about just running out SRAM.
Oh, God, don't say it, Paul.
Right? It makes
with
sense.
The Witch's Oven now?
Your opponent had to have drawn Witch's Oven for this to be bad play.
It's true. You're right. And guess what happened? Witch's Oven. Now, this isn't the game ender. You know, sometimes Grzegorz can steal a huge creature on the other side and finish things off. But Arne has to just be like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Really? Really? And there's the Witch's Oven on the stack, and they even earned the nice there.
Yeah.
That's
land
brutal.
here is very, very big. This allows Arne to go SRAM into deadweight here to slow Kowalski down. Oh, excuse me. He cannot.
Rough.
He cannot.
No, the Isolated Chapel did not have any friends.
No plains or swamps on the battlefield. Can you imagine if Kowalski top decked the Phyrexian Tower here? We could have potentially seen another turn 3 Corvold.
I don't know if I can take any more of them. Now, the good news, though, for Huschenbeth is while that was a tap land and he wasn't able to kill the goose right now, at least from what we're seeing here, it's not like Kowalski is going to be able to punish him greatly, right? The Gilded Goose doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot here outside of maybe making another food, which is certainly relevant, but, far from a disaster.
Yeah, and now, I mean, this is going to really set Kowalski back here, right? Because he's hoping that Korvold will get him back into this game, but he has to wait an additional turn here because this Gilded Goose is getting dead-weighted. Oh, wow. Yeah, Kowalski, I mean, it would be... he really, really would like to find some way to interact this turn before deploying that Korvold on turn 5.
Oh, it's another Witch's Oven. So while things lined up kind of perfectly for Kowalski after that initial flurry, they haven't since. And while he's well stocked on food, he's got 4 food, a Witch's Oven, another Witch's Oven, another land. He just doesn't have a play this turn. He can put Giganta into his hand.
I wonder if I think Arne might go ahead and just start putting dead weights onto his core Spirit Dancer just to draw some cards. If he can find a Thoughtseize here, right, and get that Korvold, I mean, Kowalski just has nothing. And the thing is, you put a dead weight on a core Spirit Dancer, I mean, you're just breaking even, right? Because it gets +2/+2 for every aura that you put onto it. So it's basically just black, draw 2 cards.
Go. Fabled Passage Go from Kowalski is all you can come up with. Wow, Arne Huschenbeth, right? I mean, we've been following him for the majority of the day here.
Oh, and he found the answer, too. Even if Kowalski gets off that Korvold, we got a Heliod's Punishment here, too.
That's right.
To put onto that Korvold. Man.
And we could see a lot of damage here. That's an All That Glitters, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell just how many auras are in that core Spirit Dancer. It looks like 4.
I think there's 3 on it right now.
Okay, yeah, so and that's the 4th. And, it's just
and he's getting dead weighted just to draw some cards.
He's got 8 cards in hand and 11 power on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Korvold is not going to get it done here.
No, not at all. In fact, I think that if I'm Arne, that's what I'm hoping for. Right? I'm like, hey, Grzegorz, please just tap out and play Korvold. I mean, is Grzegorz going to start sacking food here? Like, is that where we're at?
He has to. And if he just plays Korvold, that's game. We got that Heliod's Punishment.
Wow. Okay, Noxious Grasp, does that change anything here? It could delay.
Yeah, it's the thing is, if you play a Korvold, you're just chump blocking. So, but it is your way to kind of draw some cards, right? Because you can play a Korvold, sacrifice a permanent, draw a card, then you sack the Korvold to draw another card. Of course, this is assuming that Kowalski just goes, you know what, I can't really play around a Heliod's Punishment. I just need to put something on the battlefield and start putting together some cards. Now, with the Noxious Grasp, it does buy him some time, potentially, right? Because you can use that on the core Spirit Dancer. And if you do so, all those auras fall off, and then the SRAM also gets considerably smaller.
Desperate times here for Grzegorz. He just has not had enough to do here, and he's just going to have to pass the turn once again. Noxious Grasp. Will it even save him?
I think it'll save him for 1 turn.
I wonder if it even will. Arne put all the glitters on the SRAM.
Right, but when you Noxious Grasp the core Spirit Dancer, all the auras will fall off.
Yeah, off of that.
Right, but then the SRAM, but then there won't be enough auras in play for the SRAM to be big enough for a lethal attack, I don't believe.
Well, I'm just wondering if he has anything. It doesn't look like it just has the 1 angelic gift, but if he just starts putting those on the SRAM.
Right.
Look at this. He's going to put dead weight on a core Spirit Dancer. to get the cards.
If he can find another All That Glitters.
Okay. He did not.
Yeah, instead he is drawing half his deck at this point. I mean, what is a Jund deck to do when your best card in the matchup that we've seen previously is not going to be close to good enough here?
An unbelievable run here for Arne Huschenbeth, really breaking onto the scene. Again, this is not a player who's not been around. I mean, he's got 7 GP top 8s. So this is somebody who has experience at the high levels, but this is a different level than that. And he is crushing. It really has been his weekend, and he could put himself in a position to be 11-3 and be able to play a win in the next round. Boy, you know, that's one match away from a top 8. Even if he doesn't make it, it's a great run. He was also the player who remained undefeated the longest in our field.
And given that, he probably has very good tie breaks. And as a result, he has a very solid shot of making it into the top 8, even with a loss. Of course, we're going to have to run more numbers and have the desk team figure that out for us. But of course, I mean, winning this match here is absolutely tremendous for him.
Trail of Crumbs looks like too little too late here for Grzegorz. It does make a food, and he's going to immediately sack it, but doesn't have any mana left. Okay, Mayhem Devil into the hand, but he has to pass the turn back, and right now the Spirit Dancers ×2 are ready to rumble.
Oh, yeah.
And this is going to be Arne Huschenbeth. Looks like he's going to be able to finish things up here. Let's see if he can get lethal.
He just needs one more aura, maybe?
He doesn't actually have one.
Does he not have lethal yet? I don't think so.
He has double Heliod's punishment.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Thoughtseize. That doesn't get it done. He can Heliod's punishment his O2 Spirit Dancer, but
I don't think he has all the glitters, so...
He doesn't have red mana in his deck?
He's just going to have to wait, I guess.
I guess so, but you know what? It's not going to matter because there's nothing really Kowalski can have here to get him back.
Especially not that forest. Food into Trail of Crumbs, into pure desperation here for Grzegorz Kowalski. And he finds a Blooming Marsh. I don't see any way out for him at this point. And he says, good game, hands the victory to Arne Huschenbeth, who picks up the victory and is now just one match away. He needs to win next round to guarantee top 8. Maybe even could get in with a loss. We'll have to check the math as we see the matchups and how things come. But what a run for Arne here. Congratulations to him for even getting to this point. Remember, he was undefeated overnight. He even picked up a couple of victories early, and now he's good to go. One more round to go, and if he wins it, he can win.